In this video, we want to look at how to understand the owner's statement. So we've already looked at how to navigate around the owner portal. So you can see we're here in the portal in the Statements tab, and we're going to look at the March statement. So if we click download, it'll download a PDF of our statement. So here's the PDF. The first thing we want to look at is make sure we're looking at the correct statement date. It is possible that we can publish statements to your portal based on other dates, so we may do it right after a draw, so say 3/1 through 3/10. But we always want to be looking at the full month statement so that we know our data is complete. And this can confuse people once in a while, so just double check that the statement date is the statement date you think you're looking at. Otherwise, it'll be hard to understand. All right, the next section is the portfolio summary. We're going to skip that for now, and we're going to come back to it once we look at the detail. The next section we have is the portfolio income and expense. Generally, there's not going to be anything recorded here. It's generally going to be recorded under the property or properties. But once in a while, we may have an expense or an income here that we just don't know. It didn't have anything to do with a property, but it was really a portfolio income or expense. So generally, we're going to skip this part as well, and we're going to drop down to the property. Now, one thing I should note is that the equity section, this is an income statement, so we're going to have 4 different types of accounting here. It's going to be income, expenses, equity, and liabilities. So the equity does end up under the portfolio section. So here we see an owner draw. It could also be an owner contribution, so that's when the owner actually writes a check and contributes money into the portfolio. But here it's an owner draw, and that's $175. Okay, but we'll come back to that as well. So let's first get into the property itself. We have 1234 Anywhere Street, and please note that your statement will definitely look different in terms of the specifics. What I've done here is just thrown in a bunch of different entries so that we get a good taste of what we might see on the income statement. So the figures may not make complete sense in terms of what a normal month may look like, but at least it gives us an idea of the things we might encounter on the statement. For example, we're not going to probably see 2 rental income amounts. It's going to be 1, but I just wanted to show you the difference. So here we have rental income, and income is broken out by rental income, pet rent income, maybe we'll have storage rent income, or maintenance income even, where the tenant maybe plug the toilet with a toy, we fix it, and they pay for it. And so we'll show that income here as well. So here we have 2 rental amounts. We received rental income of $995 and $500, giving us a total of $1,495. So that's our total rent income for the month, or to date, whichever the statement date is. So let's go down to expenses, and the first thing I want to do is drop right in here to the management fee, because we just talked about the rent income. The management fee on this property is 10% of the rent collected, and so $50 is 10% of $500, and $99.50 is 10% of $995. So we see the total management fee of $149.50, which of course is 10% of $14.95. The next thing we want to look at is, okay, on this one we have a leasing fee. So leasing fee on this property was 75% of 1 month's rent, so that's $750 of $1,000. If the rent's $1,000, the leasing fee is $750. And then we have sales tax. So these aren't particularly labeled, but you can figure it out just by logic. And then also when we roll into the bill tab, of course the tax is attached to each charge. So if you ever are confused by, okay, I wonder which sales tax this goes to, jump into the bills tab and you can find that very quickly. So very easily, $3 belongs to the $50, the $45 is 6% of $750, and the $597 is 6% of the $99.50. Okay, so there's our total sales tax. Here's our total expense. So $953.47. The last thing we're going to look at, or 2 things actually, our net operating income is total income minus total expense is net operating income, $541.53. So we're going to want to kind of keep these 2 figures in our head as we jump up to the summary. Last thing we look at is the unpaid bill. So there are some unpaid bills in this particular example, $50, $60, and $6. So it doesn't really tell us what it's for. Again, we need to jump into the bill tab. This is a simplified version, so if we want detail, we want to go to the bills and find those invoices. This particular is all one invoice. It's for locks. but it doesn't show that here. We have to jump into the bill tab to see that. All right, so let's remember our total expenses. Let's remember our net operating income. Let's jump back up to the summary. Okay, so basically starting out, it's basically a basic addition. We've got a previous balance of 35 cents. We have an plus the income of $14.95, which was our rent, minus expenses. So here we've never seen these two numbers before. Oh, wait a minute, we have seen the management fee before. And what this does is it breaks out the normal expenses from the management fee expenses. But if you add these two up, you'll get $953, right? Which was our total expenses for the month. So this number, these two numbers added together equal our total expenses for the month. So let's do the math. We got 35 plus $14.95 minus the $308 minus $149 is our total net operating income, or net operating. It's not net operating income because we got these 35 cents in here, but it's basically the total money in the portfolio is $541.88. Now we add in any contributions, which we had 0, and then minus the owner draw. We're going to show you how we calculate the owner draw shortly. But notice if we take the 541 minus the money we sent to the owner of 175, we end up with the ending balance of 366.60. Now, how did we come up with calculating the owner draw? Why did we send the owner $175.28? Well, again, this is all done automatically by the accounting software. But what we want to look at is we always have this $250 portfolio minimum, which is there held in escrow on the owner's behalf for any incidental bills that come up throughout the month. So before rent is collected and there's more money in the portfolio, we may need to pay a bill, a utility bill or what have you, before we collect rent. So we need a certain amount of cash available to pay those bills and to keep the property operating. So that $250 always remains in that owner's portfolio. So we have to have the $250 there, plus we want to hold money back from the owner to pay for this unpaid bill. So if you add the $250 plus the $116.60, you end up with our ending balance of $366.60. Once we pay that unpaid bill, we'll end up, of course, with the $250 as our ending balance. So let's go back. How do we calculate the management or the owner draw? Well, we have our total money in the portfolio, $541.88, minus the money we want to keep in the portfolio for the minimum and the unpaid bills. So 544 minus the 366 equals the owner draw, 175.28. So we're always going to send the owner as much money as possible, still keeping the 250 minimum and paying any bills that are unpaid. So that's how the management or the owner draw is calculated. One final thought I'd like to leave you with is once in a while we'll have an owner call and say, why is my draw only $175? And our answer always is, I'm not sure. Why don't you look at the statement, and then when you have a question, give us a call. Because honestly, we have to do the same thing. Our accountant has to do the exact same thing. We're not going to know why your draw was what it was until we look at the statement as well. There's way too much detail for the multiple properties we manage to know that off the top of our head. So you can really help us by learning how to use the statement, look at the statement, just like you would your bank account. And then if you have a question, you say, I don't understand this, or I'm not sure that this was right, or I think you double charged me on something. Great, we'll definitely take a look at that and fix it if we've made a mistake. But definitely, if you can go into the statement, understand it, you will be much happier because you'll feel in control of your finances rather than just depending on us to be your eyes. We're looking at the same data that you're looking at. We don't have anything special or unique. We've given you pretty much everything that we have to give is at your fingertips in the owner portal to give you as much transparency as possible as we manage your rental.